Hey guys, today I wanted to bring you a video discussing Summer and why I think some people in the community might have actually been sleeping on Summer this whole time. Now, let's first get one thing out of the way. Summer is not an S tier god right now. In my opinion, Lady Justice and Crom do sit above pretty much all the other gods, at least for Darkness 100 here, as they just offer so much power in terms of defensive capability and offensive output. Especially if you're an attacker with God of War Plus Fatality together. Oh man, it's so powerful. But God of War can also affect, cast builds and all that stuff as well. So God of War, man, is it strong by itself. And Crom offers a bunch of other utility as well. If you're going to take anything to do with a dash build, you're going to want him. He has chains, which can be pretty good on a lot of attacking builds as well. And I mean, he even has rupture and hemorrhage and all that stuff too. And Lady Justice, I mean, we don't really need to talk too much about Lady Justice. She has amazing defensive capabilities. And Inner Peace is probably one of the strongest legendaries in the game. But let's talk about Summer and why I think the community might have been sleeping on her a bit. Now, the word is consistency here for me. Now, let's talk about Fury first. Fury at Master level 5 is a 70% attack speed bonus. That's 70%. This is active all the time. It does not require you to do anything to trigger it, unlike Gem High. So it feels really, really consistent. And man, boosting your attack speed on some of these characters is really, really powerful. You're seeing in the background run we did Darkness 100 with Nixie here, and we took Fury and Breath of Fire. And we'll get to Breath of Fire in a second, but I think Fury is just quietly one of the most powerful blessings in the game for an attacking build. Obviously, Gem High is great, but Gem High, in my opinion, was better in Act 1 when there were more like Horde type waves and stuff like that. Whereas in Act 2, we have a lot more high health target enemies, like single target enemies, which is great when you have Gem High active, but if the buff runs out, man, you're stuck with your slow move speed plus your slow attack speed, which just isn't great in some scenarios. In some scenarios, it's amazing, but it's about consistency, right? So let's talk about Breath of Fire. In my opinion, Breath of Fire is a great strike as well. Now, it does not have crazy high base damage compared to like Earth Spike, for example, right? But again, what it offers is consistency. At level 1, it is every 3 attack hits, right? And when you level it up at master level, the attack AoE becomes really, really big too. So it becomes a really, really good area of effect type attack as well. Can take out a bunch of mobs all at once. As you can see, when we level here, the attack area goes up as well. Now, as we said, it doesn't have the crazy high base damage of something like Earth Spike, so it's not the highest damaging strike in the game per hit. But again, it's consistent, and when you have Fury going at 70%, man, you're spewing out your breath of fires pretty consistently, and it's not bad for bosses too. And man, if you're gonna rock like Basking Greatness, Lorian, I mean, Breath of Fire is hilariously fun to use. So give that a try if you've never done it. Basking Greatness, Lorian plus Breath of Fire and Fury is pretty fun. Now, not Nixie, Summer also offers a good amount of utility in some of her other blessings too. So she has power damage as well as cast damage. Now, these can be really good, obviously. More damage is more damage. That's really nice. So if you're going to go for a power build, you might want to consider Summer. It might not be your first choice, depending on what type of power sort of setup you're trying to go for. You're going to go the Aura type build. You want Justice and you want Mort, right? But Summer might not be a bad third option there. You might want to go God of War, though, because God of War is just pretty insane. So, unfortunately, one area where she does struggle is the cast, Meteor Shower. It just doesn't feel great in the current patch of the game because it only seems to really hit its target when its target is stationary. And most of the enemies in Act 2 are just not stationary. You got the occasional, the cats will sit still when they're beaming you, but that's mostly it, really. Now, you can immobilize and freeze and that sort of thing, which can really synergize well with it. But for the most part, it ends up feeling weaker than some of the other strikes. Not strikes, sorry, some of the other casts. So I do think the cast there could use a buff. Now, she does have some other utility type stuff or some other interesting power stuff where, she got Combust, where targets will explode and all that sort of thing. Now, I just don't think fire status effect damage is really that great at the moment either. That's something that they could buff. I think status effects across the board, they they just don't feel as strong as some of the other options. They're pretty good when you get Winter going specifically because she has stuff like Icebound and World Freeze and that, which offers a lot of utility, not just straight damage. Now let's talk about the dash as well. She actually got one of the highest base damage dashes here in the game too. The Trail of Fire. Now the fire burn damage itself isn't crazy, but the base damage of the dash, especially at master level when you level it up, is actually really powerful. You can get some pretty weird but interesting builds going with like Averon, for example, using the fire dash, but it's also not bad for, Nixie has a bunch of dash charges she can spec into, in her skill tree she's got an extra one. You can pop on, extra pair of boots or whatever too if you really want to, or take the fates. That can allow you to really spam fire the fire dash everywhere, which is kind of interesting, but unfortunately it doesn't synergize with projectile count or anything like that. I'm not sure how that would sort of work with a fire dash anyway, but so it doesn't really synergize with all of the affixes in the game and stuff like that, but it is one of the stronger dashes in the game. And I think some of the dashes do need a buff in the game too. If I'm being honest, some of them feel kind of weak. Or just like the utility doesn't feel as good as it should or could. Or maybe buff the dash area at base a little bit. I'm not sure what they would do, but some of the dashes do feel a bit weak. Let's talk about her legendaries too. She has 3 legendaries. Now, if you're going to go a summoning build, I think Summer is actually not a bad choice. I think maybe Winter is maybe a better choice, but if you take them both, you can get the double dragons going. So Fire Dragon is a really strong summon. She also has Fire Elemental, so she has 2 choices for a summoning build, which is not bad. What you could do is you could take Winter, Summer, and Mort together for a summoning build. It's a pretty fun combination. Now, obviously, at that point, you're missing out on either Chrom or Lady Justice. So, Darkness 100, you might want to still take one of those two, but the Fire Dragon is actually pretty strong though, and the Fire Elementals, master level them up. They're pretty strong as well. I'll gang up on your target and just bully them for you, which is really good. Her other legendaries, let's see, Gehenna is not bad if you're going to go into a status effect build where you're sort of burning everything. Gives you a ton of extra XP for free. And the background here, I think we bugged the boss out on this particular attempt, or maybe we just had her immobilized. I'm not actually sure what was happening. It felt like we bugged her out a little bit, but as you can see, there's intensity, more power, damage, which is nice. Combust, I think, could go with a buff. I think her powers need a bit of a buff. Summer's powers aren't super amazing but moreover, I think just powers in general feel a bit undertuned in the current patch. I don't think it's actually only a Summer problem. I think a lot of the powers feel undertuned compared to strikes and casts. The strikes and casts just feel super strong right now, most of them anyway. There are some with lower base damage, of course, but most of them feel pretty strong compared to the powers, right? So I'd like to see powers buffed across the board too. And the last legendary is the big Ring of Fire, the Inferno, which it's okay, for a legendary cast. If you're going a non-cast build, it's not bad just to have a legendary cast in your cast slot, just to have something. I think Day of Judgment is probably a better legendary cast, though, as it just insta-kills the enemies, whereas the Ring of Fire just does a big AoE burst, but it's a set amount of damage, right? Now, you can increase it with cast damage and stuff, but just being able to insta-kill all the enemies, I think, is just stronger. So Lady Justice has the better cast there, I think. And the other legendary cast is Nins, which stuns and deals damage. So not only does it deal damage, it stuns as well. So her one might be a little bit better, but I don't think the Ring of Fire one is that bad. I don't think it would be my first choice if I'm going for a cast build specifically, though. If I'm going for a non-cast build, though, just throwing on a legendary cast just to fill your slot is not a bad idea, and her one it's okay, But that's the overall sort of takeaway here. I think there are some blessings that Summer has that are really strong that people have kind of slept on a bit. I think Fury and Breath of Fire combo, I think the 2 summons she has is pretty good. She's got some other utility. She's got damage output for powers and casts. There's even a Meris build where she synergizes really, really well with her magic missile build. So if you take Fury up to level 5, and then you take Vehemence at Master up to whatever the max level there is too, is it 3 or 5? Man, you're spewing out your magic missiles so fast, and they do a ton of damage. It's really, really interesting. Keep your eyes peeled on the channel. In the future, we are build crafting something for Darkness 100 for Magic Missile Meris. That build is kind of difficult to get a win at Darkness 100 though. So, and I don't have the best staff for it, so that's kind of one of the loot items that I've been hunting for. But that's going to be the video for today, guys. Thank you very much for tuning in. I think it's worth trying Summer if you've never really tried that much in your runs, especially if you're struggling to progress on an attacking type character. I recommend giving Summer a go. You might have some luck, and if you do, let me know with a comment down below. I'd be interested to know if you're able to make these runs or these builds work with Summer. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for tuning in to another video. Hope you have an amazing, fantastic day. Thank you very much.